The people who serve for the president, including all the way down to ICE agents, can be held accountable when there's a change of administration who's willing to hold them accountable when they break the law. Now, Stephen Miller is clearly ordering people to break the law. So, he should know that, yeah, it may be 3 years from now that he is held accountable, but make sure, I think it's important for them to know that whatever they do now, it's not like we're going to forget, and it's not like we don't have a record of what they're doing. So that is why I mentioned Stephen Miller. That's why I mentioned other people, Tom Homan and Gregory Bovino, who's the CBP leader on the ground, the one who executed their orders in Los Angeles, which was, they did an awful job in Los Angeles and created all kinds of mayhem on the ground. Now he's doing it in Chicago. And so all these people need to recognize that, you may have immunity because Donald Trump's willing to pardon anybody that's carrying out his unlawful orders, but you're not going to have it under another administration.
Boy. So we got to talk about Democrats sending threats to Trump administration officials who simply are trying to enforce immigration law, right? Like, for example, what you just saw there, Governor J.B. Pritzker on BS Now, basically telling Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem that, hey, we're going to try to put you in prison. We're going to try to put you in prison for enforcing the law, right? That is what Democrats are saying going into the so-called No Kings protest part 2. The violent protest that Democrats have started and are funding in order to voice their displeasure against the Trump administration, right? It's basically an anti-Trump hate rally, right? That's what it is, okay? And they participate in acts of violence against ICE because it's also pro-illegal and anti-law and order, okay? And this is why ICE, this is why they have to wear masks. This is why they have to conceal their identities, because of how violent these protests are.
Look, the masks, it's a bad look, all right? I understand the security problem with it, but it's a bad look. You make these men and women look like Hamas, and then you don't think people are going to react to them that way. Of course they are. They got their, it's like this stupid movie, Men in Masks Not Be Trusted. That's what you're setting them up for. I get the risk. Color of authority matters also. They should have a badge. You should be able to identify what they are. Nobody should have to guess that they're getting duped and they're not who they say they are. Everybody does it the same way. I get the sensitivity of the security. I'm with you. Two things that I think are getting stuck up. One, you talk about seeing data all the time. You guys do not put out data enough. Track is the best thing that they have, right? Syracuse University has this open FOIA request. I hear you on shows all the time, Tom. I do not think that you're FOS, okay? I've known you a long time. You can't say, I see the data all the time. Great, I don't. Put the data out, because track, you can look it up for yourself, TRAC, it's an acronym through Syracuse University. It's like 50-50. That takes me to the next point, which is you're not cutting fat, you're cutting muscle. And these communities need people who may have entered the wrong way but have done everything right since. And their kids are here, and they're productive.
But that's for
and
Congress.
Their employers need them. What?
That's for Congress to do. They got to read.
I'm not on. Listen, Tom and I have talked about this. You're an enforcement guy. I'm with you, and Tom makes the right point that they got to fix it. But enforcement priorities matter. Okay?
I'm being transparent tonight. 70% of everybody arrested is a criminal. President Trump said we're going to concentrate on national security threats. That's exactly what we're doing. The data shows it. And like I said, for the hundreds of thousands of criminals that is going to be removed in this administration, it makes that country safe again, keeping President Trump's promise to American people what he was going to do. He said he's going to have the largest deportation operation in history. We're going to have the largest deportation operation in history. You look at numbers right now, I just told you, over 500,000 have been deported between CBP and ICE. And that's not counting the first 4 months of the fiscal year that were under Biden. We're not even counting those months. But if you extrapolate that in the monthly apprehension we got right now, you do have the biggest operation in the history of the nation. And one of the reasons people don't understand, why do we have the most secure border in the nation's history? Because President Trump's executive orders, his leadership on that, the men and women of the border who stand in that front line and catch and release. And third, because the whole world sees ICE out there every day across this nation enforcing the immigration law, sends a clear message of consequences so families don't spend their life savings handed to a criminal cartel to make that dangerous journey because they know there's consequences. President Trump's policies, whether people want to face it or not, is saving lives by the thousands. Under Joe Biden, a record number of aliens died making that journey. A record number of Americans died from fentanyl coming across that border. This administration is not only enforcing law and making our streets safe again, they're saving thousands of lives.
Yeah, so it really is amazing to me that this is what Democrats are choosing to rally against, okay? They're rallying against enforcing the law. They're rallying against stopping crime. They're rallying against protecting the American people, right? That is what Democrats have decided is good for them to do, right? It's good for us to get a bunch of people, bunch of lunatics out in the streets committing acts of violence in order to rally against law and order, right? Again, it's amazing how that works, right? So with that being said, what really is hilarious to me is the fact that the media is trying to pretend as if these protests aren't violent, right? They're trying to say, hey, well, these are peaceful protests, and we don't know what Republicans are talking about when it comes to the violence. This is what they're saying on MSDNC, and also this is what they're saying on The View as well, too, as they worry about the protests potentially getting violent.
This weekend, organizers expect more than 2,500 protests in cities and towns, large and small, for the second No Kings Day. Tomorrow's rallies are supposed to be even bigger than the ones we saw in June, when a staggering 5 million Americans protested the Trump administration and its policies. Joining me now is Ezra Levin, co-executive director of Indivisible, which is organizing No Kings Day, which is no small feat. My goodness. I'm curious how big you're expecting these protests to be, Ezra. We've said they're going to be bigger. How much bigger than what we saw in June across this country?
Well, Alex, some historical context. The single largest day of protest in the first Trump term was this incredible display of peaceful people power and families belong together. This was against family separation policy back in 2018. That was about 750 events. It was great. It was impactful. We were part of it. The events that we're seeing on Saturday, we are expecting more than 2,600 events. We're not doubling, we're not tripling, we're nearly quadrupling the single largest protest from the first Trump term, exceeding even what we saw in June, as you noted. And look, this is going to be in big cities like Chicago and New York and San Francisco and DC. But as you saw on that map, it's in the smallest towns in America. It's in Jenner, California, population 122. It's in Homer, Alaska. We're in Montana and North Dakota, red states, blue states, purple states, rural areas, suburban areas, deep Trump country. There are indivisible groups, and there are No Kings protests that are coming together. So it's going to be a sight to see. It's going to be historic.
So talk about the concerns, the biggest ones that you're hearing from people participating in the kinds of changes they want to see.
Yeah, well, everybody's watching these Republican attacks right now. They're smearing these rallies because the Republicans in this regime are scared of peaceful protest. And honestly, they should fear peaceful protest. Every authoritarian regime succeeds by spreading fear, by making the populace feel that they are alone and that the regime is all powerful. And so the single greatest threat to their grip on power is us exercising our First Amendment rights. So I know people are watching at these smears. They're watching these attacks. They're watching this saber rattling.
This crazy No Kings rally this weekend, which is going to be the farthest left, the hardest core, the most unhinged in the Democratic Party, which is, a big title.
We shouldn't have to wait until the Hate America rally this weekend or whatever it is that's driving Chuck Schumer to keep this going on, this damage that's being inflicted.
I encourage you to watch. We call it the Hate America rally that will happen Saturday. Let's see who shows up for that. I bet you see pro-Hamas supporters. I bet you see Antifa types. I bet you see the Marxists in full display, the people who don't want to stand and defend the foundational truths of this republic.
What is he so scared of? He's so scared. What's he frightened of?
Well, he clearly doesn't recognize that the people who take to the streets to protest are protesting because they love the country and know that it could be great like that.
Why I think there are going to be 2,500 events in every single state in 50 states is because people are opposing authoritarianism. People are exercising their First Amendment rights to peacefully assemble and free speech.
Right.
And so I think what he should be doing is listening to the fact that so many people and so many events are going to be taking place, and there's a real problem with Republican leadership and this Republican shutdown where you have thousands and thousands and thousands of people not being paid, losing their jobs, while Congress gets paid, while Congress has health care, and the American people are fed up.
Yes.
And we have the ability to say that, in this country.
See, this woman is giving a flower to these guys who are holding guns.
Yeah.
So
That's iconic.
that to me is a symbolic photograph of how people feel when they're protesting. We're not here to start trouble. We just want you to hear us.
And you know,
and
you
that
know what?
flower is a
That's
symbol.
very important.
Yeah.
That we remind people to remain peaceful. Peaceful protest is
peaceful
what matters,
assembly.
and they want you to get violent. They want to be able to show the images of there being trouble. So do not take the bait. Remain peaceful.
Yeah, so you see that, you hear that. Now, what I find to be hilarious about the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media is how they have to emphasize so much that these protests are going to be so peaceful. These are peaceful protests, right? And it's like, well, if you really believe that, why do you have to emphasize that they're going to be peaceful, right? You shouldn't have to emphasize that they're going to be peaceful if you really believe that they're going to be all peaceful. And everybody knows they're not going to be all peaceful because we have footage, right? We have actual proof and evidence of these protests not being peaceful, which is why Anna Navarro had to beg. I'm begging the No Kings protesters to be peaceful because they're not peaceful, as MSNBC found out during the previous No Kings rally in LA that was not peaceful at all.
To reiterate, this looks very intimidating. This has remained 100% peaceful as far as I have seen. People are out here with their signs. Here, may I show your sign, ma'am? Can I? You said your sign says.
We are not criminals.
Whoa, let's go.
Peaceful protest. We're not doing nothing wrong.
Whoa.
We have the freedom of speech.
Go. You want to be careful, okay? You take care of yourself. So you can see, whoa, they're messing with the horses. Guys, let's go. Let's back up here. Obviously, people are unhappy, Ari. People don't want to see horses trampling. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Hey, Ari, we're okay. We're going to keep going. Stay with us if you can. JB, want to move a little faster back. They're pushing people with horses, which obviously gets people freaked.
Jacob, you're
and
on
again,
camera,
I haven't
but
seen,
do what you need to
go
do.
Ahead, Ari.
You're on camera, but take your time and space.
Whoa. Let's go. Oh, shit. Let's go. Whoa. We're good, Ari. We're good. Keep going.
We're looking at some pictures from moments ago of police trying to clear protesters from a No Kings demonstration in Los Angeles. You can see their smoke grenades, I guess, pepper spray that appears to be being detonated there in the area as they're trying to move people away from this specific area. Jamie, this is a bit of a split screen that we are seeing between this parade going off in Washington, D.C. and protests around the country, but now some pictures like this coming in from Los Angeles.
Right. So I think we should say that apart from this scene, the other protests we've seen around the country have been peaceful.
Meanwhile,
Ramirez is now on the ground. You're looking live at the scene from Skyfox. And again, if you're just joining us here, 5:25 on Fox 11, a day of peaceful protesting. By all accounts, unfortunately turned chaotic when the LAPD reported that certain protesters were on an overpass and had begun throwing rocks, bottles, even bricks at them. And then they issued a dispersal order. When folks didn't immediately disperse from that area, then they brought out the tear gas, and things got quite chaotic, and they continue quite chaotic after a day of protesting.
With such force, which we're seeing in different pockets here throughout the afternoon as we stretch into the evening.
And Mario, what the LAPD is now reporting is that this protest has splintered off into different groups, and a peaceful march has now left downtown Los Angeles and is walking westbound on 7th Street into the Rampart area. And they're also reporting at Temple and Spring that people in the crowd are throwing bottles at the officers. And this is in addition to at Temple and Main, where officers reported that commercial-grade fireworks were also being thrown at police officers. So you do have several splinter groups of still existing peaceful protesters, according to the LAPD. They say that they are marching on...
Yeah, totally peaceful, right? Totally peaceful, okay? These people are not committing acts of domestic terrorism. That's not happening, okay? They're not doing that while waving Mexican flags, right? You didn't see that, okay? Yeah, there's a reason why they're begging. They're begging people to remain peaceful because they're not peaceful, okay? They're not peaceful. These are rioters, okay? A lot of them, again, domestic extremists participating in domestic terrorism. And I personally would not be surprised if this No Kings rally, this second No Kings rally, is a bust, okay? Because that's the only way it can be peaceful, right? It would be peaceful if it's a bust, right? If nobody shows up, okay? At this point, that's what Democrats should hope for. They should hope that it's a bust so that it doesn't result in acts of violence and chaos, okay? But if the No Kings rally is quote-unquote successful, right, which, you know, I don't know what metric that would be, right? Because the mass deportations hasn't stopped, right, as a result of the last No Kings rally. So I'm not entirely sure, you know, what they expect to accomplish with this one. But, like, let's just say a lot of people show up, okay? If a lot of these people show up, it's not going to be peaceful. There's going to be a lot of violence. There's going to be a lot of acts of domestic terrorism. And it's going to reflect badly on the Democrat Party because they're openly endorsing it, right? They're openly saying, yeah, we support this, okay? Just like they did with the BLM rallies, right? And Democrats have been stained due to their support for BLM, and they're going to be stained due to their support for this as well, too. Democrats love supporting domestic terrorism. They love supporting domestic extremism when they believe that it benefits them. And then they'll turn around out of the other side of their mouth and talk about how much they're against political violence while at the same time endorsing violent movements, right? Endorsing violent movements and then pretend as if they're against the violence. They're not against the violence, because if you were against the violence, then you would not be endorsing these movements, right, that have proven to be violent. So again, if this protest is successful, right, which means a lot of people show up, again, there's going to be violence, and Democrats, once again, are going to show the country that they are the party of political violence, right, that they endorse this type of stuff. And if that is what Democrats want to show the American people, hey, be my guest. But ultimately, if it gets too violent, then it will help the Trump administration or justify the Trump administration using the National Guard. And Democrats are going to be on the hook for that as well, too. Okay, it seems as if Democrats want nothing more than chaos in this country, and their support of these rallies, okay, them funding it as well, too, really shows you that that's all they got at this point. Trump derangement. And that's it, right? And that is causing more chaos and destruction in this country. And that is what Democrats are endorsing at this point. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.